Hi folks, today I'm going to show you how to create beautiful multi-step forms with conditional logic in GoHighLevel. So these forms are probably more advanced than anything you've seen in GoHighLevel before, and they allow you to create forms with conditional logic, phone validation, zip codes. They have advanced progress bars, and they look great. Everything in this form builder has been built from the ground up to increase conversion rate. So you can use conditional logic, for example, to ask more relevant questions. If I go back to step 1 here and say that we're interested in repairing a roof, for example, you'll notice the next question is which material are we repairing? So our form always comes across as more relevant to our users. We progress through here to an address step, and we've got a Google address lookup. And then finally, on the last step, we have name, email address, and phone number. So this is the order I'd recommend placing the steps in. You've got easy questions towards the beginning, and then as you progress throughout the form, you've got more difficult questions towards the end. So the best bit about this form builder and this integration is, as you can see, it is completely seamless. We've even got a completely transparent background here. Your users will not be able to tell it's a non-native GoHighLevel form. In fact, it's better. So let's get straight into it. So first of all, obviously we need to open up GoHighLevel and switch to a sub-account. So I'm just going to open this test one I've been working on and go to sites because we are going to be editing a funnel. So I hit sites and let's choose this all home services quote requests, which is one I started building earlier. So we're now inside the funnel builder or landing page builder. We have a pretty standard GoHighLevel landing page. And I haven't really changed anything about this, so you can really use any of their templates that you wish to. So first of all, let's identify where we're going to place this form. I'm going to put it underneath this Get Your Free Quote banner, so inside this little white box here. Okay, so now we know exactly where our form is going to go. Let's head over to Grow Form and create our first form. So head over to Create New Form, and let's start with a template designed for none. Start with a blank slate. This is the simplest, most stripped down template you can get on GrowForm, and it's a really good place to start. So let's give it a name. Let's call it GHL starter form. Go ahead and create that. So GrowForm has created for us a really simple form. We've got a header, we've got some buttons, and then on the next step, we've just got how should we contact you. So this is really as short and as simple as a form gets. So we can change the elements on this page. I can choose this header and, for example, change the text to how should we contact you. I can hit save, and that will be updated anywhere where this form is embedded. So I'm going to make a few really simple changes to this form just to get it ready for GHL. So I'm going to head over to theme, and I'm going to set the parent container to have no background. And that's because we're going to be embedding it on a kind of semi-transparent grey background, and we don't want this kind of white background ruining the look of our page. So I'll just set that to none. And as you can see, the page has gone transparent here. Cool, so I'm pretty happy with all the settings here. I'm going to reduce the width of this form to about 520. I'm going to reduce the padding to 15 because we don't want the form taking up loads of space unnecessarily on the page. We can do that in GoHighLevel. And I'm going to reduce the bottom padding to 15. I'm quite happy with the side padding, and I might just change that blue a little bit. So I'll just make that fit in a little bit better with what we've got on the page. Cool, I'm going to hit save. And I want to get this into our GoHighLevel landing page as quickly as possible. So I'm going to hit Share Form and choose the first option, Embed GrowForm directly on your website with an HTML snippet. I'll click that, and I'll copy the snippet to my clipboard. I'm now going to head back to GoHighLevel, choose the place I want to insert my form. So it's in this box here. I'm going to go to Elements, Add Element, and search for Custom HTML or Custom JS/HTML. Open Code Editor and paste the code I just got from GrowForm here. Yes, save. That's great. So as you can see, not much has changed. That's because this is just the builder version of the page, not the preview. So I'll go ahead and save this. Okay. So it looks like that's saving now. And now, if I hit preview, we should see that form in GoHighLevel. Okay, cool. There it is. So we've got a form set up. If I click one of these buttons, it goes through to the next step. Now I want to get this form fitting into its surroundings absolutely perfectly, so I'm going to adjust this for you and talk you through how I do it now. First of all, I don't like the way these headers are aligned into the center. That looks really weird in the way this form is embedded, so let's go ahead and fix that. So I'll head over to Growth Form, back to the editor, choose these headers, and I'm going to go to add an attribute, which will be text align left. And just make sure that these are consistent. Text align left. I'm going to hit save. And then when I refresh this, we should start to see that the form starts to look a little bit more natural in its surroundings. Okay, cool. So we're starting to look a little bit better there. That being said, we've only really created a basic form so far. So I'm going to create a form with maybe 4 or 5 steps, make use of some different field types so you can see the creation of a form from start to finish. So you may wish to speed up this part of the video. It may get a little bit boring, but I want to guide you guys through every step of the way. So you don't look at this and say, how did he do those images, or how did he do those buttons, or something like that. So let's go back into Growth Form. And bearing in mind, this is a form for a roofing company, let's put some sensible questions in. So for our first question, we want something nice and easy to answer, something uncontroversial. We do not want to be asking the user, what's your email address? What's your bank details? What's your phone number? And we want to keep it nice and low touch at the beginning here. So something that the user wants to answer. We have some really nice templates on a Growth Form site that have all sorts of examples. So I'm pretty much going to copy this one. So let's start with, what type of service do you need? So I will choose this header and say, what type of service do you need? I'll just update these buttons to say type of service. So that means in the back end, we can actually identify what these buttons do. And let's edit the choices of this to, what have we got? New roof installation. The second option is repair or partial replacement. So repair or replacement. The third option was full roof replacement. And the fourth option, inspection or maintenance. Let's add a fifth. It says not sure / other. So we've got all of our options here. I'll hit save. And I'm going to name this step to make it a bit easier to navigate in the builder. So that is type of service. And while we're here, let's add a new step, which will be on step 2. So we've got type of service, and then let's have type of material. I'll hit update, and that will take us to that new step. So I'm going to copy that header, because that's exactly what I need. Just delete these elements, paste that here. So instead of type of service, we're interested in the type of material. What type of material will we be working with? And let's add some buttons, just like that first step. So we've got this demonstration text. Why should we still have widgets? Well, it's actually type of material will be the field name, and we're going to hide that because we've already got that header above it. So we've got these silly answers. Let's change the button choices. So we've got asphalt, not sure how to pronounce that. Asphalt, tiles, slate, or other. And we can even upload images here. So let's go ahead and do that. These may not correspond perfectly, but it will give you an idea. Other. I see, I've done the wrong one there. Okay, that will do for the demo. I'll hit update, and I might just want to make those images a tiny bit bigger. Great. Okay, so in our form, we're first asking for the type of service, second, the type of material, third, the contact information. So perhaps we also want to find out the building's address. So let's add a new step before step 3 here. So add step, address, information. I'm going to drag that to where it needs to be. And again, I'm going to just copy that element in here and move it up. Get rid of the old one. And say, what's the address of the building for roofing. With roof, what's the address of the building that needs work? We don't want a text field in here, so I'm going to delete that. We're going to use an address field. So there's probably about 30 different fields you can use. So in this particular form, we've got phone, we've got address. You can use zip codes, all sorts of great fields, and they've all been very carefully designed. So let's use this address field and set that as required and hit save. And you'll notice when we progress through this form, you'll notice that this has address lookup, which is really useful for this kind of work. And then we get through to that final step here. So while we're here, I'd love to show you guys conditional logic. Feel free to skip this section if it's not relevant to you. But considering you can't do this on GoHighLevel, I thought it'd be good to show off what can be done. So with conditional logic, we can add an entire step that only shows when certain conditions are met, or we can add a field or some text or something like that, depending on what the user has said. So in our case, let's say if the user says other, we're going to ask them, what do you mean by that? What is this other material that you want? So let's go to the step editor, edit steps. We're going to add a step call it other information. And we're going to move that so it's after we ask about type of material. And let's just build that step out really quickly. So I'm going to copy from there. Let's just say what type of other material. Let's just set that to text to line is left, so it fits in with the rest of the form. And I think we need to just make that a little bit smaller. Looks good. Let's just change the text here. When you say other, what do you mean? Okay, great. So this is our other material step. And of course, we want to show this only when the user tells us that they want to use other as a material. So we go to edit steps and we edit the logic on this step. So hit edit logic and we can add a rule block. And we're going to show this step only when the type of material has selected option other. And there's a really advanced conditional logic builder in here. You can use ORs, you can use ANDs, and you can pretty much come up with any combination that you like. But for now, that's pretty good. Let's hit update. And let's just preview that and see what it looks like. So we're going to choose new roof installation and tiles. So you may have noticed we skipped straight past that step. Let's go back to the beginning. We're going to choose full roof replacement and we're going to work with other. And this time it's asked us that other question. So we'll add test and we continue with the form as normal. So that's conditional logic for steps. You can also have conditional logic for fields. So for example, I could add something saying we do indeed cover London and only show that if that address field here contains the word London. So that's conditional logic for fields. Pretty straightforward. Finally, I'm going to add a loading spinner to our form. Loading spinners are quite nice if you're genuinely doing something of value in the background. If, for example, you're looking up quotes or you're finding suppliers, it's good to let your users know that that's happening. So we can add a step before the contact information, and let's call it loading screen. Let's delete everything in here and just add loading animation. So I'm going to give this a little bit of padding top, a little bit of margin bottom, and I'm going to do the same with this. And I'm just going to say your quotes are loading, and just add a so let's add a font weight of, what am I doing? Bold. Excellent. Your quotes are loading. Maybe I'll just make that match whatever is above it here. Cool. So we've got a loading screen, and I can tell that to redirect to the next step after 2 seconds, which should be about right. So let's go back to GoHighLevel and view this form. So what type of service do you need? Repair or replacement? What type of material will we be working with? Let's say other, and we'll get that additional question. Excellent. When you say other, I mean nylon. Continue. What's the address? We'll get that Google lookup. Continue. We've got that loading screen we spoke about. And now finally, we've got the contact step. So our form's looking pretty good. There's a lot in GrowForm you can do in terms of theme customization, all sorts of interesting fields. There's hidden fields, there's tracking and tagging, there's confirmation screens, there's all sorts of stuff. But for now, let's move on to possibly the most important part of the tutorial, which is actually getting this information into GoHighLevel. Now, at the moment, if somebody fills in this form, let's have a look in GrowForm. We will see the lead come up here, but that's not good enough. We want to see that lead come up in GoHighLevel. So to get that set up, let's go back to GoHighLevel. Let's go back, let's just leave the landing page builder and we'll choose automation. And we're going to create a workflow. So we're going to start from scratch. And add a new workflow trigger and search for webhooks. So basically what we're going to do is GrowForm is going to call a webhook. So GrowForm is going to communicate with GoHighLevel every time a lead comes in. So let's add that here. So we've got our inbound webhook. We can give it a name, inbound webhook from GrowForm. And GoHighLevel has now given us this custom URL. So if we hit that copy button, we now need to tell GrowForm, here's your webhook that you need to hit every time a submission comes in. So we've copied that to clipboard. Let's go over to GrowForm. Let's go to Edit Form Settings, Alerts and Integrations. We're going to add an integration and it will be a webhook. And we're going to paste that endpoint URL in here and just hit save. So that's done. So now we've done that, we need to fire that webhook. We need to send that over to GoHighLevel. So let's do a form submission. So this is really important. If you want to see your form data in GoHighLevel and do the next step, you just need to fill in your form. So let's do that. And we can just put junk data in, name, email at email.com, 201, submit. So now we've sent our demo submission. We will obviously see that in GrowForm. And if we go back to GoHighLevel, we can now press Fetch Sample Requests. And as you can see, a request has come in here. So this is the information that we just sent over. We've got that email at email.com and name as I just filled in. So let's hit Save Trigger. What this has done is just saying this is what we're looking for in a webhook. This is what it looks like basically. So hit Save Trigger. And now we've configured that webhook, we can create a contact as a result. So let's add a field. The most obvious field is going to be email. Good place to start. So let's select this little tag. So if you wanted to hard code the email, you could do harvey@growform.co. But here we want to dynamically insert that value from a webhook. So click this little tag. We're going to choose inbound webhook trigger. We're going to go into the form submission. We're going to go into the fields and scroll along a little bit and find the email field and choose the value. Now it's worth mentioning here, these are system fields, so they're not very friendly to work with, but they are unique and they stay the same, which is a very good thing. So if you do have a whole load of text fields, for example, and you're not sure which one is which, in GrowForm, you can select the field. So any type of field will support this, and just scroll down to the bottom and you'll see the external field ID here under Advanced. So in this case, we wanted email and we wanted the value of that. And you can now just repeat that for all of the fields you wanted. So I think we had a name field here. So we're going to go form submission, fields. I think that was the last text field there, and a value. Hit save action, publish your workflow, and then every time you fill in this form, whether it's on your landing page or just in GrowForm, you will see that information come up in your GoHighLevel CRM. So you may have noticed when we load the page, everything kind of jumps about a bit and looks a little bit jarring, and I'd like to fix that before we go any further. So to fix this, let's choose the box that we're embedding into. So that's this white box here. Let's go to advanced and let's give it a class name of, let's say, fixed height. Press enter. And that means we can adjust the properties of this box using CSS. So we go to settings, custom CSS, and here's some I wrote earlier. So let's just make sure that this corresponds to the class of our box. So we've got fixed height, so I'm going to call this fixed height. So we're kind of manually setting the height, let's say, to 500 pixels. You may need to adjust this depending on how tall your form is. And we're going to set display to block. And all that does is means stuff tends to gather towards the top of the white box rather than somewhere in the middle. So you may wish to pause the video here and note down the CSS. So we'll hit save. And if everything changes, that means your CSS has been successful and this box is now of a fixed height. And now when you open this page, it won't all kind of jump about and look really jarring, which is great. Thanks so much for sticking with me. I know that tutorial got a little bit longer than expected. I wish you all the best in your GoHighLevel landing pages. I will leave in the comments details of the free trial you can get from GrowForm. And I will also leave a link to a written guide if you find that easier. Goodbye for now.